Hey everyone, welcome to the Neurospicy Mama. My name is Amanda, and let's be real. This is a channel for neurospicy people and people who want to learn about what it's like to be neurodivergent. Tonight I'm going to be making stir fry, but there's just some more important things to learn about in this video. Before I rebranded, not even that long ago, it was Dit Dot. And Dit Dot was me masking. Dit Dot was like me trying to be perfection, but knowing deep down inside that I wasn't perfect and pushing through barriers. And then every once in a while going, look, I can do things messy too. But no, it was me highly masking as an autistic ADHD woman. And part of the process after getting a late diagnosis is unmasking and learning how incredibly damaging all of that pushing through when you didn't feel good was. So my goals for this channel are to have, I talk all about my neurodivergent journey on I Am Mindblind. So if you want to learn more about that, go check about that. The goal for this channel is to help create healthy conversations around food for neurodivergent autistic people. I mean, specifically autistic because I'm autistic and ADHD, but like other people who struggle with food textures and executive functioning to be able to create a meal. And I'm learning along with y'all. One of my first special interest that I really remember is cooking. So it's something that I can pull on even when I'm at a really low. But there are times that cooking is a struggle for me too. So tonight I wasn't even going to film because I haven't been able to lately pull myself together enough to make a beautiful video. And I'm like, okay, screw that, because that is again masking, because the people I want to help are the people who are also struggling in the kitchen to put healthy meals on the table. So tonight, like I said, I'm going to be making a stir fry. I'm going to talk about how to, maybe accommodate your family. And this is one of my more easy meals. Hold on, Watson, my pug. This is one of the more easy meals that I make because I can kind of just zone out. I've made it so many times, and you can make it more complicated or more easy depending on your level of energy level that day. Today is a fairly stressful day in my household, feeling very low energy, but still enough energy to actually cook. When I'm really low energy, we do grab your own, fend for yourself nights. But most of the time I can at least do, I do have some low energy meals that I want to share with more on this channel. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so in my chicken dinner video, I show you how to make rice on the stovetop. But if you have access to a rice cooker or an Instapot, then I highly recommend it, because you can just make the rice and it's so much easier. You don't have to babysit it. So I just put some butter in here, and then I'm thinking, so I always like to make extra rice because I can use the leftover rice for lunches so often. Like making fried rice is like such an easy lunch for me. But today I think I'm going to go ahead and just use 1 cup. My husband's doing low carb right now, so he isn't going to want any rice. So it'll just be for me and my kids. So I'm going to saute it down in the butter, get it nice and coated, and then you add equal amounts rice and water. So 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of water, put it in there. Just make sure that none of the rice is up on the sides. We're going to put the lid on, and then so I had it on saute for the butter. So now I'm going to hit cancel and then just hit this rice button. Now this is going to do its thing while we start making the rest of the stir fry. Okay, so this is like a super generic stir fry that you're going to be able to adapt whatever vegetables that work for your family. You can keep it as simple as 1 meat, and one vegetable. Tonight, I'm going to use up some vegetables that kind of just need to get used up in my house. A lot of times with broccoli, I'll actually just cut it like this into the skillet. It's just faster. And then because when you cut broccoli, you always get these little bits that fly around your cutting board, and then you have to pick them up. And that just takes more energy than I want to deal with. So when I cut it up straight into the skillet, then there's less cleanup. So having a nice sharp pair of kitchen scissors is very handy. And I've got this bag that I'm going to collect all my vegetables in. The veggie trash, because unfortunately I don't compost. Okay, so I've got these veggies, and then I'm going to put some oil. This is olive oil. You can use avocado oil, peanut oil, whatever you want. And I'm going to go ahead and get these started. Normally, I like to move my camera around and do this like much more professionally. But guys, I'm just so tired tonight. I just want to get the video up because I just think this conversation around food is so important. Okay, so my family also doesn't mind cabbage. So I have a neurodiverse family. My kids and I are autistic. My dogs are playing. ADHD, autistic ADHD. My husband's neurotypical, and but he also like goes kind of on and off low carb diets often. So I cook for different food needs. My kids are hypersensitive to food, so they like things to be pretty bland, uniform, not spicy. I like a lot of texture, crunch. I'm hyposensitive to food. I'm a sensory seeker, so I want like all the things in my dishes. But so that we can all be satisfied, I have learned how to kind of create dishes that I can kind of modify and go along and change things so that each family member is suited. Now, one thing that I am working on learning, and so please comment down below, is that there are a lot of autistic people who are even more food adverse, and like things like cabbage, the texture is just going to be a big no. So there are things that you can do, like if one person in the family really wants cabbage, yes, it may require keeping out 2 skillets and sauteing some vegetables separate and then adding it on your plate. But there are things that you can do that don't require that much extra effort. Is that gonna be enough cabbage? Yeah, I'm gonna go light on the cabbage today. Just gonna throw that in. I don't have very many sugar snap peas left, so I'm just gonna give what I have left a quick chop up and throw it in the skillet also. So I started with the broccoli because that's the most dense vegetable and it's going to take the longest to cook. And then the cabbage, then I'll put the sugar snap peas in, and I'll put mushrooms in last because they won't take the longest to cook. Now these mushrooms have seen better days. Like I said, I need to use these veggies up, but they're still good. They're not rotten. Just going to rub the dirt off of them and give them a quick chop. I'm going to cut these in quarters, keep them big, because my daughter cannot stand the texture of mushroom. But if I keep the pieces big, she can pull them out of her dish. And it doesn't, affect the rest of the dish. I, on the other hand, love mushrooms. My spoon go. So I just lowered it to medium because it's behind my back. This stem looks not so good, so I'm going to pop it off. Just going to half or quarter them. Keep them in big pieces. My goal is to get people fed with as many nutrients as possible without creating stress at the dinner table. Okay, so while the vegetables are cooking, other vegetables that would be really good to add would be like carrots, bell pepper, green onion. You can even put in some sliced onion if you really like onion. You can get really creative. Bok choy would be a really good one to add in. So again, you can put sweet peppers, also good. I love the brightly colored red, yellow, orange sweet peppers. So you can put as many or as few vegetables as you want, depending on, you know, what you're trying to get rid of out of your refrigerator, what your family likes and doesn't like. Okay, so today I'm making pork stir fry. So these are boneless pork chops, and I need to get my knife sharpened, but just slice them in really thin slices. You can make this exact same meal with chicken instead. What I would do is I would slice your chicken breast thin like I did in the chicken dinner video. Again, that's a really good kind of beginner cook video. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and do that. You slice your chicken really thin, and then you can cut these thin slices because you want your meat to cook quickly. You can also buy at the grocery store, it's pre-sliced stir-fry beef. So that way you don't even have to cut any of the meat. You can just add it straight to the pot. If you want to just go vegetarian, you could cook with tofu. You could add tofu to this with the meat and have two different proteins. You can also use shrimp. Okay, really quickly, I'm gonna remind people a safe way to hold a knife is you don't hold it back here on the handle because then your wrist is gonna have too much play. You put one finger, it's called choking up on the handle. You put one finger on the blade, you put your thumb on the other side of the blade, and now your wrist is more steady and you're not chopping with your wrist. You're actually kind of using the whole shoulder motion for this particular move because I'm slicing the meat. So I'm putting my blade down on the cutting board and I'm slicing back towards me. So you get these really thin cuts. And if you cut with a sharp knife, that is actually safer and requires less effort on your part. Always wash your hands after you touch meat. Okay, so here's my veggies. Normally, I don't stir fry my veggies until they get brown like this, but it's not going to hurt anything. And we're going to go ahead and pull them out. So I've got a little bowl here. One thing that I love to do if I have a little bit of extra energy, because I'm really the only person in the family that'll eat it, is to make an egg pancake at this stage. So once I pull out the veggies, I add more oil, and then I put in a beaten up egg that has a little salt, and it's on such a high temperature, it cooks really fast. It kind of makes that egg pancake, and then you can flip it over and then cut it into ribbons, and I love that in my stir fries. But tonight, I just don't have the energy to do that. So I'm going to add some more oil down so that we can go ahead and so far I've not done any seasoning, right? Ideally, you should do this in 2 batches. It'll cook. What's the word I'm looking? You get kind of more brown that way, but we're going quicker tonight. We're not going for perfection. We're going for fed tonight, right, guys? Okay, so this is the most complicated part of the video. I do have a video that goes one of my pieces of pork made a popping noise. That was weird. Anyway, I do have a video that goes into a little bit more depth about stir-fry sauces in general. As an autistic person, I know having exact measurements can be really important. But as an ADHD person, I literally cannot measure stuff. I just can't. So what I'm going to show you is how I make a sauce without measuring and just using my taste. So I'm going to use some hoisin sauce. If you're feeling really, really tired, just using this will flavor your stir fry. It is pretty strong on its own though, so you just wouldn't use very much. I have taken to using squeezed garlic. I love fresh garlic, but I just don't have the executive functioning points these days to peel and chop it. So this squeezed garlic has become a lifesaver for me. I'm going to use that. A lot of times I'll grate some ginger in here too, but I'm going to not use it tonight. Or if this is soy sauce, I'm just going to put a splash of soy. I do have powdered ginger, but sometimes I'll use that instead if I need to take a shortcut and not use the fresh. But tonight I'm just going to leave it out. And this is some sesame oil. I'm just going to put, this is pretty strong, so just put a splash of that. And then rice wine vinegar. Again, just a little splash. And then we are going to mix it and taste it. Now, it's going to be stronger than what you want because this is going to be over the course of a bunch of vegetables and meat, so the flavor gets dissipated. But it's going to give you an idea if it's too salty or something, or too sour from the vinegar or whatever. So just taste it. And decide if you need to adjust anything. I've been making stir-fry sauces for, that's the rice, for so long that a lot of times I get it right on the first try now. So this is my sauce. If you need it to be a little sweeter, you can add honey or you can add brown sugar to it, and it's going to be really good. All right, I'm going to use cornstarch to thicken it. So I'm just going to use a heaping spoonful here. My pork is over there cooking, so I'm going to go ahead and get this mixed up. And you want to get as many of the lumps as you can. Some of those lumps are going to be the garlic, so just keep that in mind. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, just so it'll extend again across all the meat and veggies and give me a really good saucy dish. So, all right, let's go check on our pork. Okay, pork is nice and cooked while we were over there making the sauce. The rice is now done. Everything comes together really quickly on this dinner. I'm going to add the vegetables back in. It is important to go ahead and separate them, because if you try to put the pork in on top of the vegetables, it's actually going to take you longer to cook, and the meat is just not going to cook at the right temperature. It's going to possibly turn chewy. So if you were doing chicken or the beef or like the pork chops, pretty much all the same, just make sure that your chicken and your pork get cooked all the way through for safety reasons. And then, of course, if you're making the shrimp, it's going to go faster, so you need to keep a closer eye on it while you're making your sauce. If you are doing tofu, it's more likely to stick, so you want to be really careful and make sure you use a lot of oil or a non-stick skillet. All right, here's where the magic comes. I'm going to pour this over. I'm going to add a little bit more water to get all of that out, just because I like it saucy. And I like to serve mine. You can put the peanuts straight in here, but the rest of my family does not like peanuts. So I will serve the peanuts on top a lot of times, or I've got some crunchy wontons, because again, I'm a sensory seeker. I like lots of textures and different flavors working in one dish together. My kids, sometimes they will pick out and put the meat and the vegetables separately. And like I said, my daughter will pick out the mushrooms because she doesn't like them at all. But here you go, pork stir fry. I do prefer usually to make my own stir fry sauces just because I like the flavors of them. But there are some really good bottled ones out there. So if you need to have that in reserve in your pantry or refrigerator for nights where you just want to saute up meat and veggies and then add a pre-made sauce, then by all means, that is an excellent solution. One pre-made sauce that I actually do like to keep on hand at all times, because I'll actually use it as an ingredient in my sauces, or I use this as a dipping sauce when I make frozen pot stickers or spring rolls sometimes, is this sweet Thai chili sauce. So you can just pour that straight over your veggies and meat, and this is going to be really good. It does have a tiny bit of spice, but even my kids who do not like spicy stuff, the sweetness balances out enough for them that it's not too spicy for them. All right, now we'll check on our rice. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Okay, I did a quick release. And then I had a pat of butter, but it was melting in my hand, so I had to throw it in there really quickly. And then if you've got a large fork or just any fork, fluffing your rice, I don't know, it just does something better, I guess, somehow, magically, than a spoon. But sometimes I use a spoon too. Here's Watson. Okay, now I'm going to season my rice with salt. On a short I did recently, somebody asked why I put butter in here. I've always put butter on my rice, but if you don't like butter on your rice, it's obviously not required. I like buttery rice. So this didn't make a ton, but like I said, even though I normally will make extras for leftovers tonight, I kept it simple. All right, I'm going to plate it up and we'll give it a taste together. Yeah, before I usually film, normally I make sure everything is so clean, but well, this isn't terrible, guys. I did do some anxiety cleaning earlier today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dish me up some of this. I just checked in the pantry and I don't have any peanuts today, but I do have these. So I'm going to add these. I could eat a bag of these. They're just like the perfect crunch in my mouth. All right, let's taste this. I'm going to get a piece of pork. Let me hear the crunch. It's a little undersalted, but we unsalted the table. Lately, I've been on a kick of oversalting, so today I erred on the side of caution. But it's good. It's healthy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to call down my family. They're ready to eat. I just think this kind of content is so important. Make sure you comment down below what kinds of things that if you could design a cooking show that talked to your neurospicy brain, let me know what that is, and I'm going to see what kind of content I can create around that. All right, guys? Thank you so much, and until the next one, bye.